This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, everyone. A 70-year-old man is tonight fighting for life in the Launceston General Hospital after being hit by a bus at Invermay. The man was walking across an intersection around midday when the collision occurred.
A busy Launceston intersection blocked by police as they tried to work out how an elderly man was struck by a bus. Detectives say the man was walking along Lindsay Street, Invermay, when the incident occurred around 12:15.
At this stage it appears he was crossing on a green light. The bus was also going through the intersection on a green light, and initial investigations suggest that the pedestrian wasn't seen by the bus driver.
No one was on the bus at the time. Police say the driver is helping with the investigations.
So we'll be doing the usual blood tests to ensure sobriety, and he'll be spoken to later by Crash Investigation Services.
The pedestrian was brought here to the Launceston General Hospital. A short time ago, he was in a critical condition.
Well, the bus drove over his pelvis area, so he suffered some significant injuries to his pelvis and abdomen area.
Traffic near the crash was diverted for several hours, causing delays around much of Launceston's CBD. Redline says its driver was uninjured but is shaken by the incident. The scene is now clear and police investigations will continue. Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
A woman accused of perverting the course of justice in Susan Neal-Fraser's appeal has pleaded not guilty in Hobart's Magistrates Court today. Karen Patricia Nancy Keefe is charged with 3 counts of perverting justice and 1 count of corrupting a witness. She didn't apply for bail and has been remanded in custody until the 20th of November, where she will face trial at the Supreme Court. Neal-Fraser is serving a 23-year sentence for the murder of Bob Chappell, and her last-ditch bid for freedom is set for October. 6 Tasmanians accused of holding a Victorian man hostage for 3 days have all been found not guilty of kidnapping and a range of assault charges. There were cheers and gasps in the courtroom as the verdicts were read out.
After almost 4 weeks, an alleged kidnapping ordeal is now over for 6 accused.
I'm relieved, happy for all involved. It's been a long process. I was set on going to jail today.
Malcolm Main, Carly Deckers, Kane and Sean Richardson, Christopher Humphreys and Matthew Williams were all standing trial in Launceston Supreme Court, accused of a range of offences, including kidnapping and aggravated assault. The ordeal first began in February 2015. On the 13th of that month, 4 of the accused were arrested after heavily armed police officers raided this Rochalee unit. Victorian man Anthony McHale was also taken from the property. That afternoon, he told police he had been kidnapped a few days earlier, taken to multiple locations across the north and northwest, was shot at 3 times and also assaulted. 2 other accused were arrested at their homes a short time later. Throughout the trial, prosecutors claimed the 6 defendants worked together to hold McHale hostage, demanding $75,000 from him to settle a drug debt. But the defence argued that was not correct, and the defendants were actually helping McHale find money to pay Lebanese men.
Why he turned it on to us, I don't know. We were only trying to help him.
The alleged victim took the stand on week 1 of the trial, but claimed he had no memory of early 2015 due to his drug use. He also said he couldn't remember being interviewed by police. When the not guilty verdicts were delivered, there were shocked gasps from not only those in the gallery, but also the accused. Deckers was crying before she was found not guilty, but her tears quickly turned to relief.
It just shows to us that the jury thought very long and hard about the evidence. They considered it very carefully, and Mr Richardson's grateful to them for deciding this case based on what the evidence did and did not reveal.
Monica Dadson, Southern Cross News.
A unit block has been partially flooded after a fire hydrant was run over, sending water gushing into the air for more than an hour. Residents have criticised the response as crews tried to figure out how to stop the flow.
This Invermay unit block quickly became a swimming pool when an endless stream of water burst from the hydrant. From higher ground, residents watched on, helpless as water seeped into living rooms across the block.
Yeah, well, the guy in the front unit, he's basically lost everything, so yeah, it's just a matter to see how good the government insurance is, I suppose. How high was it?
It would have been at least 3 times the height it currently is.
Witnesses say it started when a gardener drove over the hydrant on a ride-on lawnmower. A nearby plumbing company was first to respond.
Our workshop's just up the road, so I was just going to a job and I looked to the left because we do all these units, and I could just see water hitting up, so up into the roof space there.
Auburn Plumbing says it had to wait for Taswater to turn off the main supply before it could proceed. It took Taswater crews half an hour to arrive on site after receiving a call, but the organisation insists the hydrant was not a Taswater facility and it is the responsibility of the owner in the first instance to stop the flow by calling a plumber. Water gushed out for more than an hour in total.
It wasn't scary, it was infuriating because, you know, it's not a very happy time to be in the world, and if the authorities don't seem to be able to come when there's an emergency, it's a little bit worrying.
The gushing water threatening a large 415-volt power box nearby. As a precaution, power was cut, sending businesses and traffic lights into darkness.
All the cars over here were getting rained on. Yeah, it was pissing down.
The remaining water will be pumped from the scene overnight. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
The Hobart City Council has raised the rainbow flag for marriage equality at its headquarters. But opponents say the council should stick to potholes and parks and isn't elected to impose its personal view on ratepayers.
Loud and proud, Hobart City Council and these roadside supporters sending a powerful message. Today, raising the rainbow flag on its mid-city building to show its stance on the same-sex marriage debate.
We're going to fly it continuously until marriage equality exists.
The Hobart Lord Mayor is calling on other councils to follow suit and show their support. But there's strong opposition. The Coalition for Marriage says ratepayers haven't been consulted and shouldn't be confronted with the personal opinions of the council.
Councils are elected to look after local issues, so focusing on fixing potholes and making parks look pretty is their purpose, and so trying to comment on a federal issue is basically overreaching their power.
It's time for us to get this done and move on.
Today's move is a far cry from what happened here at Salamanca nearly 30 years ago. Back then, the council banned a gay rights stall at the market, which triggered protests, leading to the arrest of over 100 people.
They deserved an apology and the council willingly gave it to them.
It's a symbol to me of how far we've come in Tasmania, and it's also a symbol of hope.
Whatever your opinion, all Tasmanians are urged to check they're correctly enrolled to vote. But the clock is urgently ticking, with the deadline midnight. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A proposal to ban the next generations of Tasmanians from smoking has re-emerged. Upper House member Ivan Dean is pitching to amend smoking laws currently before Parliament, but the government is already butting out the idea.
Independent Ivan Dean is lighting up the smoking issue again. His previous bid for a tobacco-free generation stalled, but he's now proposing amendments to a government bill. His inclusions would ban tobacco sales to anyone born after the year 2000.
There's tremendous interest in it, and I've got no doubt that the first place to move this will set a precedent for the rest of the world.
The state government has previously considered moves to raise the smoking age.
We consulted widely with the community and we found that on balance, while it might be sound public policy, it was unviable in terms of execution.
Labor says the renewed push has come as a surprise.
So it's a bit unfair, really, to push these on members of Parliament at the very last minute. Our members in the Legislative Council are continuing to seek answers and advice from Mr Dean on this issue today as it's debated in the Parliament.
But Ivan Dean's campaign will smoulder on.
I would certainly be holding it and bringing it on again after the elections, yes.
There are other ways to go about this, which is improving education, improving public accountability amongst our population for their own health and well-being, and that's the path we've chosen to go.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
New polling has been released showing community attitudes on Tassale's Oakhampton Bay fish farm. The poll commissioned by the Bob Brown Foundation showed 38% of respondents support the expansion, 44% oppose it, while 17% are undecided.
It says they are against fish pens being taken by Tassale with the backing of this government into Oakhampton Bay on the beautiful east coast.
What we do know is that if you polled all those same people and said to them, do you want more jobs in Tasmania or fewer, they would say we want more jobs in Tasmania.
Tassal says community backing for the project is growing, with this poll showing higher support levels than one conducted last month. Investigators are probing an early morning fire at Bridgewater. The blaze damaged a rubbish storage area behind the Greenpoint Road bottle shop. It was spotted at 1:30 and contained to the rear of the business. The cause of the blaze remains undetermined, with police urging anyone who saw anything suspicious at the time of the incident to report it to Crime Stoppers. Police are launching a criminal investigation into a Tasmanian whisky investment scheme. The program was previously operated by Nant Barrel Holdings, but investors say they're yet to see any money, with some fearing the barrels of whisky they purchased don't even exist.
It's fair to say that as a government we've had a deal of input from over a period of time for some very disappointed investors, very disappointed, very angry investors, and I'm pleased to see that Tasmania Police has taken this up as an investigation.
Police say due to the number of affected parties, the investigation will take some time. It's long been known that sewage flows in the Tamar estuary, but just how much of it belongs to humans? Results from a new water monitoring project reveal animals and humans contributed similar levels of bacteria into the upper estuary between January and June this year. But the study couldn't determine where 50% of the estuary's bacteria came from. It was funded by NRM North, Launceston and West Tamar councils. NRM North will continue to monitor bacteria levels and gather more information over the next 12 months. Spectators witnessed a rare sight at Bell Bay yesterday, with a pod of up to 6 killer whales spotted frolicking in the Tamar River. These images were captured around 350 metres away from the orcas. Watchers are urged to stay a minimum of 300 metres away from whales. Now look at business and finance with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed slightly higher, led by gains in the resources and a steady energy sector, offsetting a flat day for the major banks. The ASX 200 index has risen by 8.3 points. And a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 78.76 US cents and 109.47 New Zealand cents.
Clarence coach Jeremy Webberley has started a war of words with Lauderdale after the Bombers referred Jack Gleeson to the MRP, knowing he was close to being deregistered. Webberley claiming it broke a pact between the 9 clubs. With Gleeson just 2 weeks short of being deregistered when he made high contact with Jordan Roberts, Webberley says Lauderdale knew just how high the stakes were.
I think we made a pact at the start of the year as TSL clubs to not put in things that we think are ticky-touchwood, and I thought it was pretty ticky-touchwood, and they probably knew what Jack's situation was, so pretty disappointed for them to put it in.
Gleeson will be free to play finals after the independent tribunal settled on a 1-match suspension, setting things up for a fiery Week 1 clash between the Eastern Shore rivals.
You know, I don't think Aaron Vince would want to lose Brandon Batchelor. I don't think, Darren Winter would want to lose Jordan Roberts. I don't think Kane Richter would want to lose Williamson through such an insignificant act.
The Roos take on Glenorchy in the last round of the season this weekend, with the Pies coach claiming his side doesn't deserve the label of sleeping giant ahead of finals.
We need to make sure that we get all our systems right and play a smart, competitive brand of footy, but I don't think we've warranted that as far as this year goes.
The Tigers farewell their inaugural captain, Tim Peterson, against the D's tomorrow night after 4 seasons, and the side will be in desperate need of experienced heads around the club for next year, with Daniel Archer and Mitch Carter still undecided whether they'll stay on.
Our depth has grown this year, so as you'll see with our Mercury Cup performance, so our depth across the group is really good. We probably just missed that couple of top end, couple of bigger bodies.
While the D's will look to salvage one last bit of pride on home soil before having to watch September from the grandstands.
If we do win tomorrow night and Launceston lose to North Launceston, we miss out on percentage, and that kills you, especially like when you consider when we've lost heavily.
It's shaping up as one of the closest Tasmanian Netball League grand finals in history, with reigning back-to-back premiers Arrows taking on the only side that's beat them this year in the Northern Hawks.
I think we still know that our game plan is very solid. I think we didn't play the best we could play that night that they beat us. And if we do come out and play as strong as we can, I think we're all confident that we can get the win.
Probably got the monkey off the back a little bit that we hadn't been beaten for such a long time, and to get rid of that, I think the confidence is there that we can beat anyone on our day when we play our game.
Both sides will head into Saturday's game full strength, with the Hawks boasting the home court advantage.
They're still rightfully favourites, but yeah, there's a lot of confidence. We know they're definitely beatable now, so yeah, it's a lot to play for.
Arrows have set the standard for a very long time in the Netball League, and it's been something that we've wanted to achieve.
The match begins at 4:30 at the Launceston Silverdome. After being in danger of not going ahead due to lack of financial support, the annual charity football match, Relive the Rivalry, has been saved by some last-minute sponsorship, with more than $50,000 raised to keep the event going.
The Tasmanian Eye Institute have come on board in a big way, which is fantastic, who are a charity themselves, and also a mainland company have come on board as well. So not only have they saved the game, but we're looking forward to bigger and better things.
Matthew Richardson and Michael O'Loughlin will return to play, with Anthony Koutafidis, Ange Christou and Russell Robertson most likely returning also. Organisers hope this year's event raises $30,000 for muscular dystrophy.
Generates and has generated over the last 3 or 4 years has gone a long way to helping a lot of people, a lot of families, with muscular dystrophy.
Relive the Rivalry kicks off on Saturday, October 7 at the new venue of UTAS Stadium. 8 teams from around the country have landed in Launceston for the nation's inaugural Women's Rugby 7 series. Tasmania has been handpicked to host the opening round in a deliberate bid to boost local participation.
While Tasmania waits in the wilderness for its own AFLW team, Rugby 7 senses an opportunity, making a bold push into Aussie rules heartland.
Some of these girls have been playing for 6 months of their lives, and now they're going to play against Olympic gold medalists.
Starting tomorrow, Team University of Tasmania will go up against 7 other squads in the national series. UTAS boasts local and international players, guided by a former Wallaby.
For me, I love the sport. I want to see people have fun. If people are having fun, they're taking their opportunities, they're enjoying it.
Caitlin Ryan is the experienced head and shoulders on the side. She'll be trying to catch the attention of national selectors here to watch. But more than anything, she wants a big crowd.
It'll just show that Tasmania can bring it for these big events.
Encouraging Tasmanians to swap a Sharon for a Gilbert has been easier than expected. Women's participation in Rugby Sevens has increased by 1/3 in the past year. And that's largely due to the women's side claiming gold at the Rio Olympics.
There were certainly people touched by that effort, and from that a comp started, and now we've got a team representing the university down here.
Games are on tomorrow and Saturday at UTAS Stadium. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Good evening. Hobart 14 today, Launceston 13 after a frosty start, Burnie 15 and Devonport 12. Clear skies in the north and east today. The highest rainfall was 26 mil at Mount Barrow. 15 was the state's top, seen at Friendly Beaches and Wynyard. 14 for Bushy Park. 13 on the islands, Lowhead, St Helens and Grove. -5 was our lowest temp at Lyowini overnight, and they only got to a top of 7 today. To the satellite, there's cloud over southeast Queensland being created by a surface trough. Mid-level cloud extending across central Western Australia due to a jet stream in the atmosphere. Up closer, cloud about the west and central areas of the state with clear skies elsewhere. Snow was visible on Ben Lomond today due to those very clear skies. Tomorrow sees a high centre moving to the east while a series of cold fronts cross southern waters. A broad trough over the Tasman is extending into parts of Queensland. On the water, west to northwest winds to 25 knots in the north, west and south, increasing to 30 knots in the south during the afternoon. West to southwest swells expected up to 4 metres. A strong wind warning is current for southern and western coastal waters from Tasman Island to Sandy Cape. Tomorrow, Hobart looking cloudy with 15, showers for Huonville 15 and Campania cloudy with 16. Launceston cloudy 15, Devonport and Georgetown cloudy 13. Burnie and Wynyard cloudy with 13, showers for Strawn and 13. And the East Coast, not much better. St Helens, cloudy 16, Swansea showers 17 and Port Arthur cloudy with 14. Let's see what that weekend has planned for us. Saturday, showers for the west and far south, snowfalls to 400 metres. Sunday, showers for the west and far south, mainly fine elsewhere after a frosty morning and more snow at 400 metres. And Monday, showers for the west and south and fine elsewhere after a morning frost. Tomorrow, Perth has the sunshine with 21, Darwin 35 and sunny, Brisbane showers 21, Melbourne and Adelaide cloudy with 15. And currently in Hobart, 7 and mostly clear. Launceston, 8 and mostly clear. Devonport, 7 and mostly clear. Rach, it's going to be a great weekend for snowmen and skiing.
Sounds good. Thank you for that, Candice. Well, that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.